Quixote had been terrified he had forgotten he was in a video game and genuinely believed he was about to die. Here, our hero is very pleased with his victory and ready to collect his reward. Jaehyun explains that a 2-day logout penalty is very bad, so Quixote had surrendered at the right time. Quixote finally removes his helmet and admits that Haho is far more powerful than he had thought. He concedes defeat and hands over the promised 5,000. But that's not all. Quixote also gives away his sword. Jaehyun is astonished. This is a hero orsod. Apart from its rarity, it also has special properties, making our hero extremely happy to receive such a priceless treasure. Quixote tells Haho to consider it a token of gratitude. He admits he had been so lost in chasing fame that he had never tried to actually make himself stronger. Quixote goes on to say that his fight against Haho opened his eyes, and from now on he considers him his brother. Jen thinks this guy may be a fool, but he has a good side too. Well, our hero says he doesn't want to be anyone's brother and attacks Quixote. Not only that, Jaehyun commands his skeletons to finish off the enemy. After getting badly beaten, Quixote insists he still wants to become worthy of being Haho's brother and will grow even stronger for it. He also says he is waiting for the day when they will meet again. Jen thinks this guy must be crazy, but he is who he is. Quixote is at least enjoying the game. Still, this fight was not in vain. Our hero earned money and a new sword, so now he no longer needs to hunt monkeys. Now Jaehyun feels he has enough for the next quest, but he still thinks he could hunt monkeys. He is sure he is close to finding a monkey with a gem. His skeletons try to stop him, sensing their master's obsession with the gem. A little later, Jaehyun reports his new achievements. He had defeated 950 armored monkeys, 104 Wixold fours, rabbit wolves, and 7 poisonous lizards. Seeing this, Maven praises Jaehyun and says the investigation is moving forward because of him. But noticing Jaehyun's distracted expression, Maven asks if he is paying attention. Jen apologizes and explains he was just thinking about what he would do with his newly earned money. Maven tells Yen to focus because the next mission will be very dangerous. He explains that a warrior bear has been spotted near the mountain peak. Warrior bears are very large monsters that wear armor and behave like human warriors. Maven says the mission is to find out where these monsters are getting their equipment from, as this will reveal more about the corruption. In other words, Maven wants Jaehyun to defeat a bear and bring back one of its weapons. Maven acknowledges the difficulties and asks whether Jaehyun can complete the mission alone. Jaehyun confidently says yes. After all, he knows how to deal with these monsters. A little later, Jaehyun is on the mountain path. But before moving the mission forward, he wants to spend some money. Jen opens his system and looks at the auction window to buy the right items for his current level. He spots a skeleton serpent set and it seems perfect for the occasion. Without thinking, Jane buys the new armor set and puts it on immediately. Jane celebrates spending money and thinks about buying magic books with the remaining funds. Meanwhile, his skeletons are hopeful too. They also want new equipment. Jaehyun says he had almost forgotten about them and takes another look at the shop. But Jen quickly realizes he doesn't have enough money to equip everyone. He is shocked at how quickly he spent so much money. But unfortunately, he will have to leave his team without upgrades for now. Jaehyun justifies himself, says it's not his fault the equipment was so expensive. Jaehyun spots some boar monsters and thinks he can earn more money by defeating them. That was all the motivation his team needed to go on the attack. A little later, only one boar was left from the herd. Jen told his skeletons to finish it off quickly after all. If they wanted gear, they needed to hurry. But then someone else struck the boar first. Jane was left stunned. Then someone asked Jaehyun, "Who do you think you are? Hunting here without permission. This area belongs to the Apollo Guild, and whoever stands in our way is calling for death." The group's leader introduced himself as Wang Jung and threatened Jaehyun. But Jaehyun simply thought they were all useless people and immediately attacked them. Afterwards, Jaehyun said, "Don't bother me again." As he walked away, thinking to himself, Jaehyun realized that he had been attracting a lot of fools lately and would need to do something about it. Still, Jaehyun decided to keep moving on his path for now. When he had gone, Wang Jung said angrily, "No one attacks our guild without consequences." A little later, The Apollo Guild leader received word that someone had attacked his men even after they had identified themselves as being from the Apollo Guild. Apollo ordered one of his men, "Bring this enemy to me no matter what. I want to punish him with my own hands." Back with Jae-hoon, he finally arrived at the bear's area. Jae-hyun said, "It's time to hunt." But seeing his team not taking things seriously, Jae-hoon got angry with them. He explained, "Our target is a level 70 warrior bear with 3 phases. We cannot fool around." Jae-hoon further said that defeating the warrior bear first would give him a massive advantage over all other guilds in the main quest. Therefore, Jae-hyun hoped his team would make no mistakes from now on. Immediately after, Jae-hoon sensed the enemy approaching. Such a large bear could not possibly arrive quietly, so Jae-hoon got ready for battle, putting on his full armor. Jen's intention was to claim everything from the main quest for himself, leaving nothing for anyone else. Nearby, Hatch spotted Bulk's mountains, hoping that Manhwa Mystic would still be there, but Hatch was angry about being sent to such a place. He considered himself a special person who should not just be chasing a new player. On top of that, Hatch didn't want to forcibly recruit anyone into his guild. Lost in his thoughts, Hatch was attacked by a boar. But being an experienced mage, Hatch burned the enemy to ashes. Hatch then thought he just wanted to finish the mission and get out of this place. Ballista Hatch was a respected ranker in his guild and believed that should be enough to earn him better work. Jae-hyun remembers that in his previous life, he and his guildmates had tried this same raid 6 times and had barely managed to defeat the monster. But this time, if he fails, someone else could seize the leadership of the main quest. To land a decisive blow on the bear, Jain knows he needs to target the joints of the armor, which will weaken the beast. With this forward-thinking approach, he had prepared special skills specifically to defeat this bear. Jae-hyun signals his skeletons. He has a new passive skill, Muscle Modification. Once activated, it allows him to move at very high speed, but he is not used to this speed. He overshoots his target and leaves his skeletons exposed. In an instant, the bear wiped them out. As his plan falls apart, Yen's anger boils over. He tries to recover, to use the speed to his advantage. But this is a power he has not fully mastered. He cannot use it effectively against the enemy. The bear attacks and forces him to drop the muscle boost. Still, Jae-hyun managed to remove a piece of the enemy's armor. Yet he regrets that the skill proved useless. Now there is nothing left but to dodge. Unable to attack, Jae-hyun decides to attack from a distance using bombs. The bear takes the explosions, but it only makes it angrier. Jae-hoon realizes this enemy will not fall easily and stops trying to deal direct damage. He recovers, returns to base, and summons his skeletons once again. His only option is to fight like a true necromancer, he tells his companions. This time will be different. Saying this, Jain seizes the opportunity to summon his golem, and just like that, the giant answers his call. The golem immediately confronts the bear to its master's delight. Jae-hyun quickly casts a spell, hardening the golem's body. This causes the bear's sword to get stuck after it had used it to attack his companion. Now it is the skeleton's turn to attack. Without its weapon and left exposed, the bear becomes a very easy target. But Jae-hyun warns, "This is not the time to be careless. I still have a secret plan." Suddenly, both Jain and the bear are hit by a magical fire attack. Angrily, Jain says his companion should have waited for him to move away before attacking. Because of Jain's distraction, the bear used a skill and recovered 50% of its health. Immediately, the bear attacks. By now, Jain is tired of his strategies failing. He thinks the best plan is always to use brute force. With a roar, he unleashes his most dangerous bombs on the enemy, even shocking his own companions. In a brilliant flash of light, Jae-hyun finally defeats the bear. He reflects last time an entire guild could not do what he just did alone. Filled with confidence from his newly found strength, Jae-hyun tells his skeletons that now he just needs to report to the NPC and complete the quest. But he quickly realizes he is celebrating alone. His skeletons and their eager companions are clearly disappointed that they did not get to do much in the battle. Over at the western base of Bulks, Hatch is losing his mind in a tavern. He is very troubled by his inability to find Manhwa Mystic. He has been scouring these mountains for many days without finding a single trace of his target. On top of that, Manhwa just posted a new video, bringing even more players to the mountain and making Hatch's job even harder. Hatch knows he cannot go back to base empty-handed, but he feels that searching an entire mountain alone for such a difficult target is completely wrong. At this point, he is seriously thinking about giving up everything, even his guild. Then his boss calls. Hatch nearly jumped just 1 second ago. He had been cursing her name. He answers immediately and apologizes profusely in case she had heard anything. But Syl says she has had a change of heart. She realized she had given Hatch a very difficult task after all. Searching an entire mountain alone is too much for anyone. Hatch immediately thinks he will finally be able to go back to base and escape these mountains. But his boss's decision is to send someone else to continue the search alongside Hatch. Syl says that with a partner, Hatch will find the target much faster, but she sent the one person who absolutely despises Hatch. Hao arrives on the scene angrily, saying that Hatch's carelessness forced her to come all this way. Hatch's heart sinks. His situation went from bad to worse. He curses the world for this twist of fate. A little later, Jen notices that Bulks is much more crowded than usual. He knew it was only a matter of time before this would happen. Now he decides to head back to Maven, as long as he is still the only one who knows about the NPC. In the middle of his journey, he is stopped. Several members of the Apollo Guild are standing in his path. Jaein immediately thinks they have come for revenge. So he tells them to attack him right now, saying he has no time to waste. But the men run away from him in fear, screaming for help. Jae-hyun doesn't understand their reaction. He hasn't even done anything yet. A few moments later, he sees the Apollo Guild soldiers falling. Nearby, he spots the culprits behind the attack. The Thunder Hunters Guild's princess and her companion were hunting and had found their main target. Jane recognized them immediately, but had never imagined he would run into them in the forest. The princess says in turn that she has finally found Haho Mask. Hao is the Thunder Hunters number 2, even though she is known as the princess. Some people call her Chihuahua because she is small and hot-tempered. She carries out every order of her guild leader Syl without question, even if it means going to the depths of hell. The other is Thunder Hunters number 3, Hatch, also called Ballista because he is a genius mage who never lets any target escape. Jen remembered how both of them had continuously hunted him in his previous life, and the last thing he wanted was for the same thing to happen again in this life. He thought they were trying to recruit him into their guild. Even though he wanted to finish them off right then and there, Jane was not yet powerful enough. In that situation, he thought the best approach was to talk his way out. So Jaehyun pretended to be a stranger, saying he had no idea who this Haho Mask was. He figured that without proof, they couldn't confirm he was Haho Mask, but the princess immediately called him a liar. Hao said it was impossible that he wouldn't know Haho Mask, especially being in Bulks Mountains, since most people were there because of Haho's videos. Not only that, she pointed out that Jaein's clothes looked just like Haho's, which only increased her suspicion. But Hatch interrupted his companion, saying they had bigger issues to deal with. Hatch called Hao foolish and reminded her that she had destroyed an inn upon arrival and had eliminated several players based solely on suspicion, causing a huge mess. Hatch added that their guild was famous, so they couldn't afford such a mess and couldn't expect to go unaccountable. Saying this, Hatch asked Hao to apologize for her actions so they could continue their mission without any more trouble. Reluctantly, Hao apologized and asked if the mage was satisfied. Hatch also apologized to Jen, expressed regret for his companion's behavior, and asked permission to move on. Jaein thought he was finally out of danger, but then a fist landed on his face. Hao had tricked him. She had pretended to leave, only to come back and deliver a powerful punch, sending Jaein flying through the air. Jaehyun was trying to understand why Hao had done that. The princess justified herself in turn, saying she had expected him to dodge the attack. Jane then asked whether they normally attack innocent, unknown players. He said he would file a formal complaint against the Thunder Hunters Guild and would make a public post to expose them, making sure everyone knew that Thunder Hunters attack other players just for fun. But Hatch immediately interjected, saying there was no need for that and he could compensate for the damage with money. Jaehyun agreed, saying he would let it go this time. After that, Hatch told Hao that they needed to leave before she caused any more trouble. Jen was angry about being attacked, but for now, he decided it was better to keep up the pretense rather than attack both of them and reveal himself. After all, he just needed a little more patience before he could take his revenge. Away from there, Hatch scolded the princess for her actions, emphasizing the need to maintain the guild's reputation. But Hao argued that players usually dodge such attacks themselves. Hatch asked whether she was blaming Jaehyun for not dodging her attack. The princess denied it but pointed out that what had happened to Jaehyun had only made him angry, which she found very suspicious. Still, Hatch requested Hao to behave properly from now on and insisted she not do anything like that again. A little later, Jaehuni went to Marwan, bringing a piece of the bear's armor. Marwan confirmed that something strange was indeed happening and thanked Jaehuni for his help, acknowledging that he couldn't have figured it out without him. But Jaehyun only cared about the next mission and was very restless, desperate that other guilds wouldn't get ahead of him. Well, the NPC appeared with a bow and told Jaehyun to choose one of the items. Mawang explained that these maps he had made were for monster dungeons meant for Jaehuni. This meant they were treasure maps, and by choosing one, he could go after the rewards. But just as he gave him a map, Mavan said he needed a favor in return. Jen immediately understood this would not be as easy as he had thought. The NPC explained that he had heard reports of armed monsters appearing in the areas beyond Bulk's mountains, and Jaehyun needed to investigate. Jaehyun asked where he should look. Mavan said it was Peng Forest, but looking at Jaehyun's face, he understood this news did not sit well with him. Truly, Jaehyun was not happy, but he agreed to go anyway. Outside, Jaehuni quietly said that exploring this place required level 90, meaning he would need to level up on the way there. Jaehuni begins planning to level up quickly. He thinks that after defeating the warrior bear, he is ready for any challenge to increase his level. But in the middle of his thoughts, an unexpected visitor arrives. Shev the Slayer comes to Jaehyun and asks if he remembers him. A little later, Hatch calls his boss. He says he can no longer work with the princess, but he insists he is not abandoning the mission. Hatch warns that red buffaloes have already seized Sura Canyon and thinks it's better to leave this aside and focus on the main objective. After all, he doesn't want to try to recruit someone who doesn't want to be their ally. Sil considers this and gives them permission to focus on the main mission, setting Ha-Ho Mask aside for now. But personally, she has not given up hope of recruiting him. She believes it is fate for the strongest people to meet. She feels Ha-Ho won't be able to run for much longer, so she just needs patience to find him. A little later, Jaehuni encounters a level 75 demonic goat, but he deals with it quickly by putting his skeletons to work. With that, Jen celebrates reaching level 62 and thinks he just needs to keep doing this so he can soon go to Pering Forest. Meanwhile, several other players were watching Jen fight. These are Ha-Ho Mask's fans trying to get noticed by him. Naturally, Yen doesn't like this and tries to get away from this unwanted attention as quickly as possible. Jane has to deal with this more often than he would like because his videos are growing popular rapidly. Despite enjoying the numbers and results, Yen has still not grown to like other players watching his next moves live. Because of this, whenever he goes hunting, he gets surrounded and can barely move forward due to the large number of players around him.